Good morning. Not really sure what I've got going on right now. Was working late last night. Didn't get to bed till I think like 2 o'clock. And I don't know, I feel fried out. Let's get my setup going. Hey, that's nice. It's kind of cold and icy out there. How are you guys doing this morning? Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Mason. How are you? Starting a little later than I normally do. Good morning, Leon. How are you? I think I've had a lot of thoughts, maybe too many thoughts. I think for so long I hoped to find peace and quiet in my spiritual journey. Good morning, Opal. Then I started reading the Bible. Started making me think about things differently. And don't know what I'm going to do with my thoughts. I have a Tag Heuer, is the type of watch that I have, Mason. Let me turn on this light. Oh, let's go get some coffee. I think that would be a good way to start my morning. How about you? Do you guys have your coffee? Have you had it already? Have you been enjoying your morning? Somebody asked, who does the Pack play next week? Oh, the stories I could tell you. Oh, the stories I probably will tell you because you're joining my show. I'm not actually a Green Bay Packers fan. Wasn't sure what shirt I would wear this morning. And the only thing I really scheduled this morning is I'd like to go to church, and we'll probably do that at 10:30 today. So I was walking around my apartment totally naked, as I have a tendency to do when I first wake up. And instead of going on, this is more information than you need. Instead of throwing on my PJs, I go, hey, I'm gonna get dressed. So I threw on my jeans. I was wondering, I actually had a t-shirt on. I go, well, it's cold outside. Let's find more of a long sleeved thing. And I saw this sitting up there, and I thought, oh, hey, Julie Flanagan, I'm just telling a great story about the Packers. Me wearing this shirt in almost mock fandom would be just right. And by the way, since Julie Flanagan's on, if anyone's watched here a long time ago, Julie's a friend of mine. She watches a lot. She lives up here near Green Bay. She and I'm from Chicago, and the Bears and the Green Bay Packers were playing in a playoff game last night. I was working at a bar near Green Bay, surrounded by Green Bay Packer fans. And my phone I was getting messages every, 20 minutes, half hour or so. And it was Julie Flanagan and her family partying because the Green Bay Packers were beating the Bears and beating them fairly badly. And I ignored her taunts. And I was walking around. I had this inner confidence. Even though the Bears were getting killed, I think they were down like 21-3. They weren't looking good. It didn't look good at all. Anytime I was away from the bar, I'd hear this roaring eruption of crowd from the bar. I knew things weren't going well. And again, it got to 21-3. And then it was 21-6. And I was kind of sitting there, and there was about, I don't know, just a quarter of the game left. And I started feeling this weird feeling of confidence. And I go, I think we have them right where we want them. And I still was getting these little annoying texts from Julie Flanagan. And then all of a sudden the Bears scored. I go, oh, 21-14 or whatever it was. That seems interesting. And then the Packers score. And then they were rubbing it in my face again. And there was like 5 minutes left. And I go, huh. I feel this feeling of confidence. I don't know where it's coming from. It's faith. It was my faith. And the Bears ended up winning. And it was an amazingly good game if you're a Bear fan. And it must have been a horrifically disappointing fan or a game if you're a Green Bay Packer fan. Must have hurt really, really bad. Because again, they were being very cocky. And I think their cockiness actually belied their fear that they had that their team was going to end up collapsing and losing as it did. So, for the person that got on trying to mock me because I'm wearing a Green Bay Packers shirt, I'm not a fan. So, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. My name is Ken Tracy, and this is Coffee with Ken. It is Sunday morning. It is January 11th. Oh, and by the way, Julie, I accept the $10 you owe me. Cash. We don't take checks. Cash, Zelle deposit, or I don't know, Venmo. But we don't take checks. Don't you and Steve trying to get together and scratch together some $10 worthless piece of paper. I want the real McCoy. It was a good game. I can't tell you how fun it was watching that game. In a bar where I worked with loud Green Bay Packer fans. And kind of walking around, and I'd like cheer if there was a good play, they'd go. And it quickly, word got out that I was a Bear fan. I was working, so I wasn't wearing any attire. Not that I had any attire to wear anyway. It was fairly respectful. At no time did I feel my life was going to be threatened. So, kudos to the Packers fans for keeping it reasonably friendly. Plus, I was probably adorable as I was taunting them. Not taunting, because we were totally down. We were totally down. Oh yeah, you're right, Joey. You're right. It'd be better with that, wouldn't it? I don't know. Oh, since it's a tribute day, we're going to go all the way. We are really going to celebrate the Green Bay Packers today and wear my shirt that a job, by the way, the job that required me to go buy this shirt. Although I do like this shirt, by the way. Doesn't it look nice on me? There's a nice shimmeriness to it, and it's, I used to wear it with a t-shirt, but then it felt kind of too much going on. So I like the shirt a lot. And the job that required me to buy this shirt to wear, I was at the bar of the restaurant. On Packer games, you had to wear Packer gear, they said. They fired me. They didn't exactly fire me. But they told me I had one more day to prove myself. You don't tell that to a neurotic guy like me. I go, I'm busting my ass. Shove your job up your ass. Job that told me I had one more day to prove myself. Are you the lady that you saw in 1992 in Chicago downtown? No, I'm not the lady you just saw, that you saw in 1992 in Chicago downtown. And that was a long time ago. I lived in Chicago in 1992 downtown, but I wasn't a lady. Oh, Julie Flanagan, still talking. But anyway, where was I saying? What was I saying? It is Sunday morning. It is 8:38 a.m. It is... Somebody said, how would I have to prove myself? I'll tell you what, when somebody wants rid of you and doesn't like you, they find reasons to get rid of you. And when somebody likes you and wants you there and values you, and this goes true for everything, they'll find reasons to keep you. And I got pulled in and they talked to me and it gave me a series of errors I had. I don't know, maybe they were real, maybe they weren't. I maybe forgot a woman's knife. But I'm telling you, I was working hard and busting my ass. And they found the evidence they needed to convict me of bad employee-ness. And maybe I was, but I'm telling you, I was there with a good attitude, on time, working hard. If you can't find room for that, again, I don't miss the job at all. It was strange. I didn't feel very comfortable, but yeah. Yeah, again, if they said I was late, and if I was late again, I'd be like, oh, I get that. But one more day to prove yourself when you're trying as hard as you can and you're on time and you're having a good attitude. All right, well, I just suck. I guess I just suck then. You suck. But anyway, again, it's Sunday morning, January 11th. This is a show about me talking, as you've seen. Talking about life, talking about the journey we're on. But for those that have been watching a while, you know it's not just a show about me talking. You know it's also a show about me sharing my love of coffee. And with that in mind, I got a fairly hot cup of coffee in a Green Bay Packer mug. I'm only wearing, or drinking out of, to mock the Green Bay Packers, who lost last night. And I'm excited to have my first sip. My hope is wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you've got a hot cup of coffee in front of you as well. Cheers to us. Oh, it's the Black Rifle coffee. It is the Black Rifle Beyond Black coffee. Let me take another sip. I don't know if I fully appreciate it. Oh. Somebody needs coffee. Am I close to Plainfield? Is there a Plainfield, Wisconsin? Plainfield, Illinois, am I close to? No. I was close to Plainfield, Illinois. I lived in Naperville for most of my life. And, but no, I'm not currently close to Plainfield unless there is a Plainfield, Wisconsin that I am not aware of. I was talking to a woman at the bar yesterday, and she's from northern Minnesota. And she said, and I was glad to hear it because I say this too. She goes, she misses trees. And she commented that there's not many trees in Appleton, Wisconsin. Which is weird. There's not many trees in this area. And I'm wondering why that is. There were more trees in the suburbs of Chicago than here kind of in the country. Is it possibly because trees need to be planted? As weird as that sounds, without man, there'd be less trees? Because I live out in the country. I mean, I live in a town here. But yeah, no, it's interesting she said that. Somebody wants to plant some trees. You know what the best time to plant a tree is? 30 years ago. You know what the second best time to plant a tree is? Today. Picture me being little Johnny Appleseed and traveling around. Dom, da, dom, da, dom, da, dom, da, dom. I don't know what kind of hat Johnny Appleseed would wear. I kind of think I'd have a piece of straw or wheat out my teeth, flipping the apple seeds in. I mean, I live in Appleton. I wonder if it's because we're kind of so up in the north. Like if you get it to a certain elevation, you go above the tree line. And trees don't grow at a certain elevation. Maybe that's what I'm experiencing up here. But I didn't know I was really on the top of some mountain. This is where it's at, Appleton, Wisconsin. Apple trees go pretty quickly. Sailing Shepherd said da bears. Somebody suggests I plant acorns. And yeah, acorns would be a nice idea because oak trees are awesome. What are my thoughts on moving from Texas to Wisconsin? Is it a bad financial move? Is it safer in Texas? Patrice, do you really, you mean safer financially? Or like crime rates? I'm always confused by that. Are you really wondering about moving here? Is it a bad move financially? Do you have a job up here? I'd say it's cheaper here than Texas. I think Texas has gotten much, much more expensive. But I think the bigger issue besides any of that would be, do you like living in the heat and the desert of Texas? Or do you like snow and weather and seasons? I find Texas extremely unappealing. Crazy hot and fairly ugly. So for me, I would have no desire to live in Texas. Yeah. I think there was a time when I thought it'd be cool to have warm weather all around, but that's because I was young or something. I wanted to be tan and out by the pool or something. It says it's because everyone is moving to Texas, Florida, and where you live now, Tennessee. It makes the cost of living go up. It certainly does. I mean, the cost of living's gone up everywhere. But I think Wisconsin's still amazingly reasonable. Amazingly reasonable. Where I live is getting more expensive, and they're building fancier apartments and what have you. But the homes here are still reasonable. They're fairly modest. And again, I live in downtown Appleton, Wisconsin. It's about 180 miles north of Chicago or so. And most of the homes are fairly modest in the town. They don't build them like they did in the western suburbs of Chicago, where it's endless neighborhoods of $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. There we go. That feels so good. So it's Sunday morning. How you guys doing? How you feeling? How'd you sleep? Hi, Narinder. How are you? I'm already running low on my coffee. Oh, might need to get some more. I have a lot of thoughts today. I had a lot of thoughts last night as I was getting home. I've been up here in Appleton about 11 months, and it's kind of a continuation to the previous. The last 2 years have felt a bit like I was living in a work camp, waiting tables and living where I had to live to keep a roof over my head, whether that was driving off to Yellowstone or staying in an extended stay, or again moving to Appleton, Wisconsin. And I was thinking about that last night. Tell you what I was thinking about more of. I'm going to church this morning. I've been going to a Christian church for 6 years or so, and I still enjoy them. People had often asked me if I'm Christian or if I've been baptized, or do I, oh, you love the Lord, or say something like that. And I'd always feel a little uncomfortable because I wasn't sure what my thoughts were. And I started reading the Bible 3 or 4 months ago. And it's challenged my faith in ways you would not expect reading the Bible does. And I'm not here to stomp on anyone's belief or whatever, but I'm not going to lie and say that I got something from a book that I think's horrible. And I feel that about the Old Testament a little bit. And I don't understand how anyone could read it and not feel horrible about it. And people would hop on and suggest to me, to look up Gnosticism, I think it is. Gnosticism. And although I don't know what I think about that, I listened to a couple videos on my drive up to Green Bay yesterday. And I'm going, well, it's at least good to hear them feel the same way about the God of the Old Testament, or to have some of the same lapses in their faith that I do. If you'd call it lapses in their faith, they just believe in something slightly different. And I don't know what I think about it, but I'm still going to my Christian church today. And I don't know if I'm going to continue reading the Old Testament. And that's been weighing on my mind. Oh. And my experience, and this is kind of interesting because I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not asking you to believe, or my experience is most, maybe half, the people will question what I'm talking about, but then, and even disagree with me saying, wow, the Old Testament sucks. But then they'll tell me I'm wrong, but tell me to skip ahead and don't read it, and start at chapter 20 or the New Testament or what have you. Or people say, oh, the first 4 books, or the Deuteronomy, or oh yeah, Leviticus is tough. And I'm telling you, I'm in the 6th book, and they've all sucked. And again, you'll have people go, oh, it's because the people of Israel will live in with sin and this and that. I go, it's not the people of Israel that I have a problem with. It's the God in the Old Testament. And when nobody that you're talking about this to understands what you're saying, and saying, well, doesn't God have a right to judge? Or, oh, well, those were bad people that they were butchering and slaughtering and raping and pillaging, are making excuses for horrific behavior by God. It makes me wonder. I'm going, do I want to be a part of this club? I don't think I do. If you can't own that God's killing people, and left and right, and pissed off and jealous and vain and angry, if you can't acknowledge that, I'm going, do I want to be a part of this club? Or do I agree with this club? Do I think I'm praying or worshiping or having faith in this God? No. So that's my thought about that. Yeah. Somebody wants to send me, hey, you send me one of these. Again, I want it to shimmer. If you guys send me your favorite football team, you're going to have to reach out. I'll give you my address. And if you send me your favorite football team, I'll be happy to wear it. I like these. Good morning, Timothy. How are you? It was an amazingly good game. It was an amazingly good game. I mean, the first 3 quarters probably weren't that good. The Bears were getting beaten. But wow, that last 4th quarter was something. Don't I believe in God? Well, what does it mean to believe in God? The God of the Old Testament? I don't believe in the God of the Old Testament at all. The God that is written about in the Old Testament, I think, is horrible. And honestly, I think he might be Satan. And I don't think Christians are admitting that. I think so little, and I think it's possible. All of Christianity throughout time has missed the point. And Jesus wasn't here to die for our sins. Jesus was here to point out the fact that the God in the Old Testament was wrong and was evil. That's what I think. I know it sounds crazy. And I thought I was alone or delusional, and I might be, but I wasn't alone because I did a little bit of research, and there's people out there and faiths out there that have felt that way for thousands of years. Going, do you want to believe in an angry, jealous God of the Old Testament? AJ said the Old Testament is horrible. You read it. There's no talk of love or forgiveness or kindness. It's all sacrifice. And I don't mean donating to charity. There's no talk of donating to charity or goodness or healing. It's all butchering and rape. It's horrible. And I can't believe that nobody told me that. And that it's kept quiet. How horrible the Old Testament is. That it's almost a secret. They'll talk about splitting the Red Seas and the Garden of Eden, but that is two small little blurbs in a long and boring and tedious book of butchery. So those are my thoughts on that. However, I still get moved by the music. And I still get moved by the people and the community and the good feeling. I'm not going to go there and try and hop on stage and give them my two thoughts or convert anybody to my feelings. But I'm going to go and I'm going to get what I want out of it. I'm going to hope it's Brian, the young pastor, teaching, because and I've said it since day one, it almost feels good for me, because I've always said, well, the older guy's a little fire and brimstone. Fire and brimstone where you should fear God and you're going to go to hell, I don't believe at all. And the old pastor speaks of that. And Brian, the younger pastor, speaks of family and love and faith and goodness. And I'm hoping Brian speaks to that. Good morning, Jim Rad. How are you? Jim Rad, I haven't gone to the gym today. Haven't gone in a couple days. That's all right. Gonna get a little more coffee. What time is it? 8:50? 9 o'clock. My next service is 10:30. So if you guys can make sure that I don't talk more than another hour. Go Pack, go. So, being that I live and my life is that of a worker. It's tiring being a 57-year-old worker. What other thoughts do I have for you? I'll maybe read your question for a while. Somebody said, go Bears, go Niners. What kind of watch am I wearing? I already said that this show. All right, Julie Flanagan. Have a great day. I hope you had a nice time cheering for the Packers last night. So, maybe I'll just sit here and rock in my Packers gear. Not necessarily peel the onions that is work. I was at work like 10 and a half hours yesterday. There are no breaks. It almost seems, I don't know how they can almost legally do it. Nobody said, hey, do you need a break? Wasn't even that lucrative. A little disappointed by that. I was working an event, and my restaurant hosted a big wedding. And the way it worked out is the waiters didn't have much to do, but the bartenders were busy as heck. And usually, or about half the time I bartend up there, half the time I wait. It's a little disappointed, but honestly, I didn't really want to. Maybe I don't like bartending. Maybe that would have been stressful as hell, just having crowds of people ordering tons of drinks the whole time. 55, it was me that put you in timeout. Wasn't Julie. Who's my all-time favorite Packers player? I don't have a favorite Packers player. I'm not even a Packers fan. I can't even think. Okay, let me try and think. It's hard to say Brett Favre, but I'm going to say right now it's probably Brett Favre. And I didn't like him, and I was cheering for the Bears, and he tore our heart out and smashed it. But I think Brett Favre was a hell of a football player and a lot of a gunslinger. And yeah, so I'll say Brett Favre. Jim Rat said, I have a personality that you think would work well in a restaurant bar, sitting, talking, and interacting with the public. But Jim Rat, that's often not the case. I don't think the bartender does, I think we're picturing a guy cleaning a glass and, hey, Joe. Like, okay, you picture Cheers. Maybe if you're old enough to remember Cheers. You picture Cheers. Or a lot of things. But usually when you're a bartender, it seems if you're going to make any money, you got a slam bar and everyone's coming up. You're not interacting with the customer. I'm not sure I'm good at that. I'm not sure. Do I enjoy interacting with the public? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But like last night, I was there 10 and a half hours. And most of it was setting up. I don't love carrying trays. I don't know anyone that loves to carry trays. But there's people that seem better at it than others. And it's not just strength, because I'm certainly a lot stronger than some of the young ladies that were good at carrying the trays. But the amount of time I spent, honestly, we were hosting a wedding, and most of the wedding party went into the bar to watch the game. And a good chunk of that, at the end, I was watching the game too, kind of strutting around in my work gear. There was nothing to do because I was covering the restaurant. There was nobody in the restaurant. Nobody was ordering food. It was a wedding event. The whole wedding party was either on the dance floor or in the bar watching the game. So I kind of immersed myself, became public enemy number one, and walked around exuding confidence despite the fact we were losing. Making them hate me, be annoyed with me just the right amount where they kind of loved me. Like they loved to hate me. Let's kind of fun. You know, I love working with the public and enjoy the public and what have you. I was talking about it the other day. I substitute teach. I think I'm good speaking to the public. Whether it's a table that's at my restaurant or right here on my show, or maybe giving a speech to public. The thing that's kind of tough for me as far as like teaching at high school is, or most grades in school, is those kids don't want to be there. They have to be there. In speaking in public to people that have to be there, you know, again, none of you have to be here. So I can say whatever I want and talk, and you guys can be here or go somewhere else. But if you had to be there, then I'd feel like I have to make it so fun and awesome and cool for you that I couldn't make it fun and awesome and cool. But if people want to be there, it's another thing. And even at a restaurant, if I'm busy, the people want to be there. And I don't know if you know what I'm saying. So I guess what I'm saying is the outlet that I enjoy public speaking and feel comfortable and good at it maybe isn't, the itch isn't scratched in school as much. I'm following a lesson plan or teaching what I'm supposed to be taught and have to watch what I say. And maybe that, you know. Somebody asked what grade. I was teaching at a high school the other day. Yeah, and Jim Rat, I appreciate that. I couldn't talk about most of the things I do at school, and that's obvious, and I'm okay with that. But if I have to beg a kid to pay attention or listen, I'd just rather not. And you do in school, and I'm not blaming the kid. I didn't like school either. I mean, I was a pretty good kid, but I wasn't a great kid. There's some great kids in school that are helpful and attentive and do their work. But then there's some kids that don't want to be there, and I don't blame them, but they have to be there. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. So it's Sunday morning. But either way, Jim Rat, I'm up here in Appleton, Wisconsin, and I don't really know anybody. I was working at Texas Roadhouse when I first got here. I was there for, 7 months or so. And I felt that was a welcoming, family-friendly environment where I was building relationships. And at the jobs I've had since, and this is going to sound funny me saying it because it's what young kids, millennials say, that you're just a cog in the wheel, not a part of a family. At Texas Roadhouse, I kind of felt a part of the family and had a relationship with the people I worked with. And that was nice. It was busy, it was tiring. Sometimes it felt like you'd go in and you'd be slammed for 10 hours straight in a crowded restaurant filled with chaos. But I fit well in that chaos. And I haven't found, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know that I'm great or even care to be great at the jobs I currently have. As a matter of fact, I kind of know I'm not gonna be. And it's not out of more practice or more time. So what I was thinking last night is I can't expect the job to change or the managers or the clients to change because they are what they are. And I look back at Texas Roadhouse, and I'm not going to go work for them again. Don't worry. But either way, I remember saying, this might be the favorite job I've ever had. Somebody asked, if I could only pick one, would I solve world hunger or end homelessness? I mean, that's not even really a good, you know, those are kind of like two peas in a pod. They're so closely aligned and so similar that it's not even a fun thing to pick. I would say, for me, as a guy that's lived in his car and sees homeless people occasionally on the street, that's a more obvious problem to me because I've lived in my car and I haven't been able to afford rent. And I struggle with the cost of rent and the cost of living. So for me, the more glaring issue is the threat of homelessness. But if you're hungry, you're in a lot of trouble, you know. World hunger. What is world hunger? How do you think that's a good phrase of it, honestly? Because you can be hungry. It might be okay to be a little hungry. You probably should be a little hungry. Because if you're not a little hungry, you're probably carrying around extra weight and you're not striving for something better. What you shouldn't be is malnourished or starving. I think, okay, so I'll say homelessness. I think if we were all a little hungrier, we'd be better off. Does that make sense? Because to me, the opposite of hungry is almost fat and lazy. And I'm not talking about starving kids in Africa hunger, but world hunger to me, a little bit of hunger is probably good for us. What's my biggest fear and what do I consider my biggest accomplishment? You know, I don't want to break my arms, pat myself on the back for being a dad, but I'd have a hard time saying my biggest accomplishment isn't my 4 beautiful kids. And I know it doesn't take, I'm not trying to raise myself up, but I can't. If you're saying what am I most proud of in terms of my biggest accomplishment, you know, I'd say my kids. My oldest is off, I'm gonna cry almost, landed in Thailand yesterday. And she's going on the adventure of a lifetime and gonna learn about elephants as a vet student. And my second daughter's an awesome kid and a great athlete and a sweet young lady. And then I got 2 little ones. So I'd say, again, I don't know if having children is an accomplishment, but I'm still going to pick that. My greatest fear is, I don't know. I don't know if I have a greatest fear. Illiquidity. Illiquidity. I've always had a decent credit. I always had access to more funds, or almost always. There's a couple times in my life I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And that was a bad feeling. As long as I have access to more funds, I'm okay. Because I have a great belief in myself to make more money despite the evidence that I have struggled financially for a number of years. But I always think financial, despite not chasing it, that huge financial success is right around the corner. So it's Sunday morning. We have a glorious audience. Somebody said, my greatest fear is working for Donald. You mean Trump? I feel a little bad about my strong feelings I have about the Bible. But again, I feel bad for all sorts of things. I feel bad because I don't want to poo-poo or make anybody not love Jesus or pray, or I don't want to make anybody, I want people to be filled with faith. But I think what's different than me and a lot of Christians is I don't care if you're Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist. I'm not here to convince you that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins. Therefore, you need to be saved. And I think that's always been an issue between me and why I've never really called myself a Christian. Because the part of Christianity that I love is the talk of Jesus loves you, you're not alone, give your fears to God, and a hugging, all welcome viewpoint. But I think there's a fair part of Christianity that's not that welcoming and wants to say that people that are Islamic are wrong. And I don't like that. Somebody hates capitalism. Well, first of all, I love capitalism and this societal game we have to play. And I'm 35 years old at a dead-end job making $18 an hour. Seeing others around my age with millions and financial stability fills you with rage. Well, what are you going to do with it, Gremlin? Are you just going to sit and bitch to me and to my audience that you are filled with rage and you're at a dead-end job making 18 bucks an hour? Or what are you going to do about it? And I say that to myself. I'm kind of going, well, my job, I don't really feel valued or like I'm making a difference. Yet I keep going. But I'm kind of curious, Gremlin, if you're serious, let me read Gremlin again. I hate capitalism and this societal game we have to play. You're 35 years old at a dead-end job making $18 an hour, seeing others around you your age with millions or financial stability, and you're filled with rage. All right. Again, what are you going to do about it? Bitch about capitalism? Could move to Russia. And I don't even mean that I'm not saying get out of the country. I'm serious. If you don't like capitalism, bitching about it here is not going to help. That's your point. You don't like the fact that I even have to do something about it in the first place. You just want to live and enjoy life and not have to deal with all these society shenanigans. You don't want to have to do something about it. So it's not that you hate capitalism, you hate life. You can go to a non-capitalist country. You could go to Russia. I mean, you don't want to take responsibility for your lot in life, is what it kind of sounds like. You know, yeah, you just want to do whatever the hell you want and have somebody else take care of you. But honestly, in the real world, and I don't mean the real world downtown Chicago, New York, or Appleton, I mean in the real world, if you were living in a cave, the The meat is not going to come walking in your cave. You're going to have to go hunt. And it doesn't sound like you want to. You want somebody to come in and bring you food. Good morning, Joanne. You're having your second cup. Nice to see me, Ken. Is what I don't have a lot of, but so far my health is with me. You're 77 years old and you're by yourself. You are blessed, Joanne. I love your attitude. And I love your attitude, Joanne. I was going to go back to that gremlin. I do hate life. Okay, well, there you go. You don't hate capitalism. You're honestly just kind of lazy and you want to be taken care of. And I'm okay. I'm not ripping on you for it, but you don't hate capitalism. You're lazy and you do want to be taken care of. You do hate life because I see all the outcomes in my mind already and have already exposed all the corridors and mysteries of my mind. I mean, I love your topic you're giving me. We can go deep. You've already explored everything. You've seen everything. So it doesn't sound like you hate capitalism. It seems like you have you feel no purpose in life. You feel you've learned everything to learn and you hate your job. And you have no reason, it sounds like. Yeah, I don't think you hate capitalism. You hate life. Good morning from Austin. I mean, I felt that. Heck, sometimes I feel it. I haven't seen my kids. I saw the two older ones a week ago, but my two little ones in a couple months, and that hurts. And I go to work to pay my bills and cover my financial responsibilities, and I have very little social life. My social life is going to a church that I just kind of discovered. I don't even believe in Christianity, and I go to a Christian church because I like the music and the goodness. And I'll tell you what, if they talked about fire and brimstone too much, I'd stop going there. But usually when I go to church, they talk about love and forgiveness, and I like that. John said a lot of people lose their grip on life's rudder. I think you almost have to learn to lose your grip, to let go of the rudder a little bit, John. And maybe I'm just disagreeing. I almost think you have to give control to God a little bit. And I don't mean the God of the Old Testament. I mean your God, whether that's Allah or the God of the Old Testament or whatever you believe in. The universe, the energy, a higher source, whatever you want to call it. That you have to have faith in something, in goodness, in life, a belief in something, and let go of the rudder and do your best every day, whatever that means. And sometimes your best isn't going to be finding a new job or going to the gym or going to church. It'll be just getting through if you're this gremlin guy and you're really struggling. Yeah. Why set hard limitations on yourself? Only one of you in the world will be you. That's important. Looks like Jambo's here to add a lot to the show. Such a boomer thing to say means nothing. Jambo, I'm betting you live with your parents, you have no job, you smoke too much weed, and you play too many video games. And anybody that ever calls anybody a boomer needs to move out of their mama's house, get a job, stop smoking weed, and stop playing video games. I grow weary of kids that are a mess in life, making fun of people that work hard. Without the Old Testament, God mercy today wouldn't carry as much weight. He showed us what he is capable of. Old Testament is humanity without Jesus. New Testament is humanity with Jesus. But it's not the humanity that's the problem that I have with the Old Testament. It's God in it. Because it's God running the show in the Old Testament. And it's God that's telling the people of Israel to stone the dude that's picking up sticks, or to stone the woman that's... It's not God. I guess I'm so sure that the Old Testament isn't any scripture of any holiness that it's just a joke to even pretend it is. It's some story written by a bunch of dudes trying to control society. That I don't even pretend that any of it, it's just people that are saying, hey, women shouldn't sleep around and we should do this with lepers. And they're just men setting rules. And I don't even say that to be mean. I just have no belief in anything about the Old Testament at all. It doesn't show us what life is without Jesus. It shows okay, and if that's true, it's because the God in the Old Testament isn't the same God. He is, in fact, Satan. And I think that is more likely to be true than to pretend it's the same God. Because everything about God in the Old Testament, I can't stand. He's pissed off, he's jealous, he's begging people not to worship another idol, another god or a false idol. Why does he care? Why does he care that the people in other parts of the world are worshiping a golden calf? Why does it upset him so much? Yeah. I think the God in the Old Testament is representative of Satan. And I think Christians, for the last 200 years, have totally misinterpreted it. What would you say to somebody who said the Old Testament was just inspired by earlier books? I don't know. I don't know. Assuming God is real, he could have done a better job overall. Yeah, I mean, it's telling the people of Israel to go slaughter and rape entire towns and wipe out people, and he was picking winners and losers. Little Jesus is over there. He's waving at me. You say, so you're taking him not